Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Worthit Podcast. We're on episode number 19, and it is almost 20 weeks since we began the Worthit Podcast. It's going pretty good. Today, we actually have a new co-host. Hi there, Alex.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going all right.
Nice. Good stuff. So you actually appeared on the Worthit Podcast quite a while back now. It must have been around episode like 3 or 4, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, long time ago.
It was like a special guest podcast episode where we all talked about post-production and how we, sort out our own workflow and finalize films and projects that we actually create. Because that is your, I guess, field of expertise, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So post-production is your area, and I don't know what mine is. I've never decided. I just kind of do a little bit of everything. Hope it goes okay. But the other co-host, obviously JD, is taking a little bit of a creative break for now. So he'll be back eventually at some point. I'm not too sure when, but when he feels like he's ready to come back popping better than before, then he'll be back with us. And it's important for everybody to rest up and keep the passion and the drive going. It's actually a little bit to do with the topic today. Well, we'll talk about that later when we get into it. But I guess I've got some announcements to make today, Alex.
Oh, let's hear them then.
I know. Very, very exciting, right? So our first announcement is that we are actually changing the format of the podcast ever so slightly. So obviously you can see the video now, which is much better. I much prefer doing video over just the audio. But also added to that, we're actually introducing new guests once per month now. So we're going to have some brand new faces and voices on the Worthit Podcast at least once a month. So our next special guest coming up next week is our very own Ella Dalton. And she's going to be talking a little bit about social media and marketing and getting your project out there for the world to see and how we can make stuff go viral, I guess. Do you have any ideas in mind or anything like that? Do you have like a particular video format you reckon could go viral, Alex? Or
not off the top. It all seems like just short form burst videos, like through Instagram or stuff like that. That's the stuff that will make you go viral, I guess.
The art of the meme, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about memes and talking about all that jazz and what does go viral next week in that episode. But let's get on with this week's, right? So, and just before that, of course, we're actually rocketing right into June already. I mean, this year has gone incredibly fast. This is month 6.
Quick.
It's mental. And obviously it's been, how long do you reckon? 8 weeks, I'd say. Maybe 9 weeks since this lockdown has commenced.
Yeah, something like that.
And it's not been easy on creative minds like ours. We've had to just delay and stall a little bit, but we're actually finally getting back out there and filming, aren't we, Alex? What we filming? Tell us.
Well, we're filming something that is we're like growing. What is it? Like growing plants or something?
Absolutely, that's right.
Yeah.
Our very own Stephen Prudence, who presented the Exploration Nation show that we did last year, is actually coming back to do a little special series for us called, it was originally called a name that I'm not going to say out loud right now because it's not very appropriate at all. But, we're going to change that name. It's going to be called Something for now. I can't exactly tell you what.
Working title.
It's a working title, yeah. But this project is actually, it comes from very close to Steve. Obviously, he grows quite a lot of plants and food products and stuff in his allotment. And this series is about him cultivating and creating these wonderful tropical plants and how he does it. And hopefully it can be or act as a little tutorial for you guys as well if you fancy growing anything in your back gardens and stuff like that. So that'll be coming out every single week, starting, I think it's a week on Friday. When this episode releases, it'll be a week next Friday, when the first episode will be launched. And I'm actually really looking forward to seeing the content go out because it's nice to get back into the swing of things and get back out there and film again, albeit in quite a different light. So there's different plans and different ways and means we're going to try and get around the whole social distance and filming. Obviously, we've got to, I guess, mask up and use gloves and stuff and try and maintain the 2 meter distance at all times, of course. but I guess that's easy in a way when you have longer lenses to shoot on. So do you reckon that your style of filming is going to change at all after lockdown's finished, Alex? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's style of filmmaking is going to have to change. You're going to have to learn to shoot in a wider format to accommodate for that 2-meter distance. And it's something that is different to shooting up close. It's a different skill set.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's gonna be even tougher when we're filming the likes of dramas or even the likes of action scenes and stuff. They're gonna be really tough to get a hold of, because obviously we can't do too much close contact, and sometimes it might not even look realistic anymore. Might get to that point where something looks a bit naff because we literally can't go close enough to another actor. But hopefully, fingers crossed, as the virus starts to whittle away and the cases start to go down, we'll be able to get more of a more free access and more free ability to make our films and stuff. And that'll be when we actually go back into it and start refilming again properly. But for now, documentaries are a big thing and a big high priority on our list anyway at the moment. And hopefully you're going to enjoy them when they come out. So yeah, COVID and filming styles, it's definitely going to affect us, and it will affect us for quite a while, I think, and hopefully we can work around it and get around it in general. So let's head into our first part of the Worthit Podcast for today, and we're going to be taking a little look at our 30-day film challenge again, and more in particular, we're going to look at the rest of JD's choices or questions anyway for this 30-day film challenge as such. So I'm going to read obviously the questions out, and Alex and myself are going to pick our own films and what we think the answers are to the questions as such. Have you had a read of this challenge at all, Alex? Or?
Yeah. I've been following along with you and JD as you've been noting down the films. It's been good.
Yeah. And there's some really interesting questions and really interesting topic areas. I think they get a little bit tougher as it goes along. There's some particular ones that I don't reckon I can properly answer. I might have to do some of my own research and watch some new films to actually get a proper answer out of it. So let's get on with the very first question. I'm going to bring my phone out for this. So the first question is, name a film that made you sad. Name a film that made you sad.
Oh, it's got to be for me. It's it's got to be Hachi. Do you know the film Hachi?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a film I challenge anyone to watch without getting sad.
Wow.
You cannot watch it without getting sad.
Mine would be I tossed up between two, to be honest. So obviously Up from Disney is a pretty damn sad film, but also at the same time I really feel like Forrest Gump is a proper heartstring puller. I don't know if you've seen Forrest Gump before, but it's an amazing film and a brilliant story and a massively fantastic arc, and I loved every minute of it. I've seen it quite a few times now, Forrest Gump, and it's a pretty damn sad one. So moving swiftly on to the next question, let's look at the opposite side. So a film that made you happy.
So for this one, I picked like a film that was quite recent. I picked Jojo Rabbit.
Okay.
Because it is like, as much as it is like a sad film, when you watch it, by the end of it, it's like really happy. Like you leave it in a happy mood.
Yeah.
And it's just a really good film, I think.
I get exactly what you mean. Yeah. Something that I really like, and the film that I'm trying to think of these actual topics on the spot now. I decided when I was writing the questions out, and when I was writing the script for the podcast, I didn't really want to answer myself at that time. I felt like, whilst I guess I was in the moment, I'll make the answers there and then. So I'm trying to think every time that you say an answer, I'm trying to think, ooh, that's a good choice. I wonder what I could choose. So a film that made you happy. My choice would be The Greatest Showman. I really enjoyed The Greatest Showman. A lot of people didn't, and I know for a fact that certain people I know didn't actually enjoy the film either. But for some reason, I felt it was really good. I really, really enjoyed the film. So therefore, The Greatest Showman and the ending made me very happy. I feel like it was a boss film in general. Okay, so I guess moving swiftly on and looking at the next topic, I'm going to talk a little bit about a film that is personal to you. That's the next question.
Yeah, so for this one, I picked Kingsman for me.
Okay.
And that's purely because the like that was the first. I think that was the first like 15 rated film that I saw in cinemas, and that was
really?
Yeah. It's a stupid reason, but that's the way.
No, fair enough. Damn. Okay, good choice. That's a decent enough reason as well. The one that I chose, bit of a strange reason. Is it a strange? I don't know. Maybe a strange reason. Tolkien. Tolkien. However you want to pronounce his name. The film that came out, I think it was 2018, maybe 2019. And the reason why I choose that one is because I was working at LA Productions when their post-production team hired out the facilities to use them for the edit for Tolkien. And that was before they shipped all the footage and all the files down to London. And they asked our team at LA to edit all of the casting videos and stuff for the project. So they picked up a really big scene for the kids when the kids were actually in it, and I edited together all of the casting videos basically because the lead editor there, Pat, she gave me the job of trolling through the footage and editing them together like they were the actual scene itself. So I knew all the words to a particular scene, and I knew exactly what was going to happen all the way through. And it was really, really funny because when I was obviously I had to sign the disclaimer to say that I wouldn't talk about it or say anything. But when the film actually launched, we did like a prediction whilst I was there, thinking who would actually get the roles in the end. And I thought, it's got to be him, he's well good, or him, he's good, and him, he's good. And it turns out that the people that I chose were all correct. They were the ones that were chosen, but they were chosen for all of the opposite roles. So I chose them all for the wrong roles.
Oh.
But still, that was a really amazing experience being able to edit together those videos. So I feel like that's a bit personal to me because I guess it was the closest I've been to a feature film. In regards to working for it or on it. So yeah, that was it's a really good experience for me and an overall good outcome because the film was actually quite good in the end. So next one along, your favorite film sequel.
For me, this is an easy one. Like hands down, it has to be The Dark Knight. For me,
Yeah.
that is like a really, really good sequel to Batman Begins. Just the whole vibe of the film is great.
Yeah, fair enough. Mine, I wanted to go a bit silly and choose a particular one, but I thought, there's actually a better choice out there. And my favourite sequel is John Wick Chapter 2.
Good choice.
I absolutely love the John Wick trilogy, and
yeah.
Well, it's gonna be 4 films now because they confirmed the 4th one's being made. But John Wick Chapter 2 is absolutely fantastic, and I thought it was way faster. There was way more action. It was way more tense than the first one, even though it was kind of the same concept. I just felt like they stepped up the game so much more. But the daft one I was going to choose if John Wick hadn't slid in and taken the place would have been Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, because that's the only good Fast and Furious film that was ever made. The rest of them are crap.
Yeah, that's the only Fast and Furious film I've ever seen as well. Probably gonna get slaughtered for that, but no.
Don't watch them. Don't watch them. They're terrible. Tokyo Drift is the only good one. Simple as. And then, but there was also one that I kind of wanted to choose, but then I realised that the first one was just as good as the second one, and that was Terminator 2. And the whole Terminator trilogy is fantastic. And the same with Indiana Jones. There's a lot of trilogies out there where all of them are just as good as each other. So, and there's also a lot of films out there where most of the prequels and the sequels are terrible, absolutely terrible compared to the original version. We only have to look towards Star Wars to see how bad the prequels are.
Definitely.
So yeah, there we go. The next one along, we've got quite a few in this one, by the way. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think 7 of questions for today, and then we'll be moving on to the next part of the podcast. But the next one up is not your favorite film. So I just read that one. A film that stars your favorite actor or actress.
So for this one, I did Wolf of Wall Street because I think Leonardo DiCaprio is like a really good actor. Watching him in Django and then watching him at the start of Wolf of Wall Street, they're like completely. Obviously, he turns a bit more sinister towards the end of that film, but like at the start of the film, he's like some guy that really wants to do good, and they're completely two different people. And the fact that he's got that range, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Mine, I guess. Again, I keep tearing myself between two options. I don't know why. Gosh, it's so tough sometimes. But I've had my head turned as such as the guys say in Love Island. When it comes to looking at actors and actresses in general, because I always had a favourite for a very long time, and then that was very swiftly replaced by somebody else only very recently. And so the film choice that I would pick would be A Marriage Story. Starring Adam Driver, because Adam Driver I think is really something special as an actor. I think he's absolutely fantastic, and that particular film, Marriage Story, is just absolutely phenomenal. Anyway, I absolutely loved it. Start to finish, it was brilliant story. And so Adam Driver and Marriage Story would be my choice for that one. The other one would be Inglourious Bastards and Christoph Waltz, because
Christoph Waltz is a great actor.
What a good actor! Yeah, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So next one up, a film made by your favourite director. God, what an easy one that was.
Oh yeah, well, like for me, that's Interstellar. Like, most Chris Nolan films I like. There's some that like are a bit off for me, but like most of them are like really, really good. But like Interstellar is like something else for me. That's like really, really good.
Yeah. When you edit this and look at my reaction when you chose that choice, then
oh no,
you took my film. Yeah, Christopher Nolan is my favourite director ever, and Interstellar is also my favourite film ever. So I guess I'm gonna swiftly come in and choose a different director in a different film then, in that case. And I really do believe 1917 would be my second choice, and Sam Mendes, because he is brilliant. Really, 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 really good mind, and he's a fantastic action director, and I really love his stuff. All of the James Bond stuff that he did was absolutely fantastic, and 1917 was just probably one of the best war films I've ever watched, aside from the likes of Saving Private Ryan.
Definitely.
So 1917 is class, and so is Sam Mendes. So that would be my other choice if bloody Christopher Nolan wasn't stolen from me. But the last one, the last question of this particular section, and the next 10 days. The last one from JD's, I think it was actually as well, was a film that changed your life. A film that changed your life.
So that for me was, I remember must have been about 9 or 10, something like that, and Avatar came out, and that was like, for its time, like that is still incredible. Like the amount of work that like VFX work that goes into that, to like 10, 11 years on, looks still amazing. Like the CG is still better than a lot of films that come out now. Absolutely. So I think that definitely that film for me.
Damn. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. So the one that I want to pick is Indiana Jones. And in particular, the first Indiana Jones, because that was the very first film that I actually remember watching. It was one of the answers that I picked at the very start of the film challenge, and the reason why I picked that was because it kind of got me into the whole action genre, and it's the reason why I'm wanting to head towards action in general as a film director or a film producer. Anyway, so that would be my choice for that one. We'll just pause there 1 sec. Oh, what's I sneeze?
Cool.
Oh, go to sneeze. Another bloody cut.
Oh.
You gotta love all the cuts in this. God, Paper's hit me so hard today, it's crazy.
I've literally had to shut all my windows because I was the same this morning.
I was just running like a tap. Okay, now I'm actually gonna sneeze now, holy shit. No, still. Okay, cool. Right. Should be okay. Should be okay.
Awesome.
Am I going to sneeze? Maybe. I don't know. Oh no. It'll just appear right in the middle of me talking now.
They're the worst ones. Like, you just need to get it over and done with, but you can't.
Honestly. Okay, let's talk about part 2 and the actual main topic for today's podcast. We're going to be talking a little bit about getting around creative block and how to reignite that spark that might potentially be lost. So COVID-19 obviously has affected us all, and since we've been in lockdown, it's quite hard to push yourself to be creative or to try something new or to get back into that groove. And especially when we start to accelerate now out of lockdown, it's important that we hit the ground running and carry on doing the things that we love doing without falling flat on our faces and thinking, well, I just don't have the motivation anymore. I just can't do it. And why can't we do it? And we're going to kind of look at that today, and maybe some of the reasons to why creative block happens, and some of the ways in which I think personally that we can have a look and see if we can get out of creative block anyway, or at least attempt to get out of it. And sometimes, it takes days, sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes years to get out of a creative block, but it does happen in the end. It does happen in the end. Have you ever experienced a creative block or writer's block or editing block or filming block or anything like that, Alex, at all?
Yeah, no, definitely. There was a video essay we had to do for a uni project recently, and just trying to figure out like what animations to do where, that sort of stuff to try and get it like all synced up was there was just a massive block in my mind until like I figured out one bit. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as you get over, it's amazing. Like as soon as you get over your block, it like you can just power through the rest.
Yeah, absolutely. You start like firing on all cylinders, and you wonder how you're even feeling in that way at that point in time. Anyway, as soon as you get out of it, and it's great. So I've written down here some notes basically of the multitude of reasons to why I feel like creative block can happen. One of them being fatigue, and that fatigue in a way is if you are consistently making stuff over very long hours, over very long periods of time, and you're really pushing yourself to the max every single day of the week, then sometimes it can all catch up in the end. It can all get to you, and you start to suffer from fatigue. And it can happen quite a lot with multiple things. It doesn't have to be in the creative industry or anything like that. You could be at work. You could be working long hours consistently for a very long time, and all of a sudden you feel this fatigue, and you feel like you just can't go on anymore. You don't want to do it. You don't want to get out there and do it. And that could be, I guess, a big thing, a big issue. It might be something to do with what you were experiencing, Alex, because, having to get so much done for such a long period of time must have really, really weighed you down quite a lot. And all of that weight ends up becoming what is known as fatigue, and it can really get to you. And also, I guess, something that doesn't really tie into fatigue, it's something that completely can be seen at the opposite end, is actually a lack of opportunity available. And it's definitely something to do with the way in which this current climate is at, especially in the creative industry, where there's not a lot of opportunity around to do much other than self-shoot or self-create and self-make. So like right now, me and yourself, Alex, we're recording this podcast by ourselves in our own rooms, and we're talking to a camera. We're not talking to anyone face-to-face or anything like that. And a lot of the content that Worthit creates at the minute is all very much solo shot and self-shot. Apart from obviously next week when we start our documentary stuff. And when it is self-shot and it's self-motivation that is the key, it's sometimes really tough to keep it going after long periods of time. Again, linking slightly into that fatigue issue. Then the next one, I guess, will come along. Have you ever had, Alex, creative differences between somebody else?
Yeah, I think there was a drama piece we did like end of last year. For a uni project again, and it was like different decisions in regards to like music choices or color grading. It's all about like working with the director and trying to find out what is meant to go there, really.
Yeah, and when you don't agree with someone and you have to, I guess, come up with something that not necessarily you like as such, and when, especially in regards to university as well, because when you're selected with groups, you're kind of stuck with them. Then you can't really change. You have to work with them until the end. It's a little bit different in the outside world, because if you just don't like working with someone, then don't work with them. But in the likes of the university setting or in a work setting, when you're getting paid to work with someone, creative differences can be a really, really tough thing to get over, and sometimes that can lead to that whole lack of motivation, that lack of want and need and drive to actually go out and do something.
Definitely.
So, and added to that, and lack of personal drive, and talking about personal feelings will lead us on nicely to the next point. And your personal mental state has a massive effect on whether you have motivation and drive. If you're having a down time, if you're having a down period, if you're not feeling yourself at all, and sometimes it is really, really tough to actually jump onto something and actually go and do it to the best it can be. And that also kind of ties into if you spend all your time and all of your effort into creating a certain particular project, and a lot of people come back to you and say, I don't like that, I think you need to change it, or this is rubbish, or this needs to be sorted, and that confidence knock can be huge on someone's mental state, and therefore kick people sometimes so far back that they just can't drag themselves back onto their feet, and they can't physically motivate themselves to do anything anymore. And it's kind of tough. It is really, really, really tough. And what we try and do is get over it. But how? How can we get over something like that? Do you have any ideas, Alex, on how you can get over such a block or such a loss of spark?
I think, like, for me, what helps is just like as like weird as it sounds, just leaving the project for like a couple of hours and just try and like separate yourself as much as you can from it.
Yeah.
And then when you start to come back, you have like you're coming at it with like a fresh brain, and you're not necessarily thinking in the same within the same rule set as you were before. You're coming at it with a different perspective, and then that can help you to come up with new ideas which you wouldn't have thought of before.
Yeah, and that's really important to strike, I guess, a balance, isn't it, between for like a work-life balance, I guess. And even though it's something that you enjoy and something that you really love, you have to also treat it separately as an entity, and you have to go and do something else that you love, or you have to go and have a break and have a holiday and have a little gap. Maybe if it's something that's huge and it's taken up most of your life, then maybe you take a full day break, maybe a full week break, a month break, whatever it takes. If there's no specific deadline that you need to achieve, then take as much time as you need to reset and hit that reset button and reset switch in general. So obviously it's important that you use your own mind to make up your own decision on how to get over it, because it's your mind after all, and whatever works best for you is best. And something that helps me is actually very similar to yourself, Alex, taking that break, going and doing a sport, or going what I used to do whenever I was stressed at and doing exams, but all the way back at GCSE and A level, is I used to play golf, quite a lot of golf, and I used to go and play golf whenever it got stressful. Just used to go out and just go and smash a few balls down the driving range, and it worked for me. But that's my own brain. That's how my own brain works. And now what I do quite a lot of karate, so I go and I do karate, and it's a really good stress reliever for me. So I feel like playing sports and releasing it in that way is the best for me. Because what is quite kind of tough is that I enjoy filmmaking as a hobby, and having it as a hobby and a job is really tough, because you can't separate your life from it. It feels like it takes over quite a lot. And although it is important to do a job that you love, sometimes when it has such an emphasis on your whole self, it's really hard to escape it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Indeed. Right. Okay. So, obviously, knowledge. Creativity requires passion, and even the best of us have to have these breaks and have these fatigue issues and have these these problems as such, and the points that I mentioned are all interlinked as well. And if one bit goes wrong, then the next bit goes wrong, and it kind of cascades all the way down. So yeah, to actually wrap it up and to conclude, I guess, if you are having a bit of a block, a creative block, take the time that you need. Think about what you enjoy. Go and do something else that you do enjoy as well. Maybe it's family time, walking the dogs, going out playing sports like I just said. Maybe you do what Alex does, take the couple of hours break they need to. Come back at it refreshed and ready to go again. Sometimes, again, as I said before, sometimes it takes hours, days, weeks, months, years. But it will come back eventually, I guess. Yeah. Anything else to say about that particular topic, Alex? Any other?
I was just going to say that what tends to happen is if you're in a writer's block or a editorial block or whatever, if you decide to keep on going with that, a project might often take longer than if you were to separate yourself or come back. It can actually be also beneficial for both you and the project to get it done to like a higher standard, and also like get it done quicker.
Absolutely. And because it's so difficult to drag yourself through it, and you just don't want to do it, even though it's something that like 3 hours ago you might have been loving it and enjoying it. You get to a point at which I don't like it, don't want to do it. And maybe it's to do with taking stuff in short bursts. If you're like a writer or something, writer's block is a pain in the backside. What I tend to do is I tend to write for only an hour a day. I don't push myself any further than that, even though sometimes I want to. Sometimes it's just best to cap it, I guess, at that point. And that might be something that you're able to do. Maybe you're not able to do because it's a full-time job. But, so that is it for today's episode of the Worthit Podcast. I really do hope you enjoyed the content that is coming to your faces, to your screens, to everywhere and everywhere. If you're listening to us over on Spotify or whatever podcast host you're listening to, you can also come and see our ugly faces, have a little chat together on YouTube. You just come and have a look for us. It is Worthit Productions is the YouTube channel. I'll try and put some links somewhere. You can also follow us over on social media and see all of our updates and all the bits that we do. We have behind the scenes content, we have look closer content where we take a look at the cameras and equipment that we use, and we also of course have our fantastic documentary series coming out very, very soon. And you can check out our older short films too that we did make before the crazy COVID-19 pandemic came and swept us all off our feet. But yes, thank you very much for listening along, guys. Thank you very much, Alex, for being a part of the podcast once again.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. I look forward to seeing you all next week. See you later.
Bye.